in concept. But when folks are showing how to create duplication and scale, they're actually leaders. He just said, followers showing other people how to follow. I think incorrect. It's leaders showing other people how to lead. Like you don't have to be the penultimate visionary to be a leader. There's incredible drill sergeants and corporals and majors. They're not followers, they're leaders. The people that run Navy SEAL training have people they report to. They're incredible, unbelievable leaders. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, folks that were my nemesis as a Jet fan, they're leaders. Bill Belichick's got a boss, right? He's not the leader of the Patriots. He's the coach of the football team, but he still has a boss that he reports to. So it's causing leadership is our language because it resonates differently with followers, right? Like a follower to me is somebody who does things out of some version of subjugating their own will to something else. I don't think a Navy SEAL drill sergeant is subjugating their will. I think they understand there's a process that works and they understand the fulfillment that comes in joining forces with it. And then they create other leaders repeatedly and continuously by subjugating their will to tinker and mess with the process. They are people who execute at an unbelievable level as leaders, right? So that's what we're talking about. So by the way, how are you? Like, how are you? How are you really? Why are you here today? You're here because you want to create a progression of something. Maybe you're here because you don't want to miss out on something. It's a normal tendency. Maybe you're here because you want to model what we're doing. Maybe you're here because you're like, not quite there yet, or feel like you're hanging on to a thread of hope. Or maybe you're like, yeah, I'm accelerating. This keeps fueling me. I'm driving forward. We are all here for a unified reason that we want something, and we're here for slightly distinct reasons. So welcome. And I acknowledge all those because we've stepped into rooms, as you have before, with all of those things. Like, is this finally the thing that can support and help? Is this finally the moment in the day? Or it's like, yep, on it, just like this grounds me and anchors me and fire forward. Whatever it is, you're in the right place. And whatever it is, we're team, we're family, we're unified, we're ready to go in all the different things. So welcome to Trajectory Tuesday. And our messaging for today is going to be built around the concept of like, hey, if you want more money and less time with more magic, the difference between a division point for you is the difference between random, right? Let's hang this, right? The difference between random and intentional. And the difference under these categories between one at a time and reproducing worlds at a time, ecosystems. These are two different worlds. This is the world of Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey. This is the world of a person who defines themselves 30, 40, 50 years down the road as an entrepreneur who's hustling, working hard, and have their kids and other loved ones look at them and go, I would never want to live that life. It was totally exhausting. It was absolutely crazy. And/or these are the fine folks that eventually give up and say, that whole entrepreneurial journey, that whole personal development world, that stuff just doesn't work. This is where you need to be if you want to have more than dopamine, more than adrenaline, and you want to have sustainable income, rising net worth, and intentionality around your decision making about your time. This is where we want to be. And if there's no other message that you take away from Unblinded, then this line down the middle of the board, there's no more fundamentally important thing that you can learn. Now, let's step in from there for this morning, right? Adam Gugino, brother, we have, you made an interesting discovery. Something outstanding happened. Please share.
Yeah. So have you ever not done something in fear of an I told you so? I will say I'm sure I have in the past, but I was not going to let that happen now when it comes to deletion, dilution, and distortion of a message that you've been driving home for a very long time, since the first time I met you. And I know definitely years prior. And that was to call marketing directors of large law firms and talk to them about the real raw. Even before the real raw, talk to them about you speaking in their law firms because of your story and what we can bring to them and the pain and suffering that's going on in law firms and for lawyers and attorneys around the country. So over the weekend, I couldn't make phone calls.
Now, footnote, let me go quick footnote. That can be any ecosystem for anybody listening. So for many of you, it's a law firm. For some of you, it might be something in the nonprofit world. So whatever Adam's talking about right now, see marketing directors of the ecosystems that you want to know and be involved in. Adam?
Yes. So I've never done that before. I've done, cold calling, quote unquote, for ADP and obviously solar. And so for whatever reason, I was just not familiar with it, comfortable, and had not intentionally searched out and had done it until this weekend. I decided to search online to prepare.
And Adam, how long have you heard me be saying that?
Since a year, since I met you.
Yeah. That's not to make Adam wrong. That's to make you feel validated that you do suboptimal, crazy things too. And so do I. We all do. So we're just like, this is like open confessional of like, yeah, like sometimes we're not doing the most optimal things either. And that's why there's a formula though that keeps confronting. So it doesn't go away. Like it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up until we finally take action. Adam?
Yeah. And also, like you said, deleting, diluting, distorting, calling other, calling associations, but not calling marketing directors, calling, B&I presidents, but not like just coming up with other ways to do it. So over the weekend.
And by the way, saying calling B&I presidents, because some people here have been like super excited about B&I presidents. The reason I was never like crazy excited about B&I presidents is because there's friction. There's friction with
Amen.
Right?
Agreed.
But it's funny because people would ignore and go, yes, instead of doing that, I'm doing this. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a whole bunch of friction in that I'm aware of. And that's why I didn't tell you to do that. And then people get ego like, well, like I got to have some of my own creativity. And that's where it breaks down. Well, I got to just be me and, I got to have my own creativity. Like, okay, listen, I live in a house. I don't know how to electrically wire my house or do the plumbing. I don't have creativity. I hire an expert, I pay them and they do their work. I don't have creativity. When I wanted to bench press 300 pounds, I didn't have creativity. I listened to people who did it. I talked to a number of them. I listened to people who had replicated that process with people. I just did what they told me. And then I bench pressed 300 pounds when I weighed 178 pounds-ish, between 175 and 182. I forget exactly where it was when I first did it. And I did it. And people who weighed a lot more than me were like, that's impossible. That's impossible. You don't even look that big. And I did it. And they're like, are you doing steroids? People in my family thought I was doing steroids. I'm like, no, like it just works. I just do what I'm told. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I'm just simple. I just do what I'm told, right? Until people tell me I can't like make an outcome happen. And then I go find the people to help me. And then like, I don't listen to those people, but just, I do what I'm told. No deletion, dilution, distortion. Adam?
So over the weekend, I decided to be intentional. So on Monday morning, I knew who I was calling, not while the day was going. And I did some research online and put together a small list of marketing directors in the states of law firms in the states that we wanted to invite to the Real Raw. So after
now, by the way, there's even deletion, dilution, distortion in that.
the top firms.
Yeah, because what I said to do, I love you, Adam. I'm just like giving it to everybody. I said, go Google right now. Everybody can do it. New Jersey's top 20, top 50, top 100 law firms. Call them up and go, hey, who's the marketing director? They'll put you through. There's a lady who's going to answer a phone, or a man's going to answer a phone that could care less. There's a whole bunch of people working there. They're going to put you through. So you don't have to do research. Just go.
Yes.
Back to you.
Yes. So I had a list of ready to rock, just even for that to not have anyone have the excuse of not having the people. If
yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I wasn't saying that to say like, Adam, this is awesome. I'm just giving to everybody how simple it could be. So go ahead.
And
by the way, what Adam is really saying is this is how weak our self-mastery, I said our, mine included, our self-mastery can be. Like, instead of like looking at a list of law firms and then like calling and having to ask to get through, like somehow it really does make a self-mastery difference if people have a list of names. It's crazy, right? Or not even a list of names, like a list of names. Instead of just calling up and go, hey, who's the marketing director? Like that somehow creates enough friction that people don't act. It's crazy. And then instead they're running around Clubhouse for all these hours, randomly chasing people when they could be doing this. And you go, you're on Clubhouse, Sean. I am, but I promise you, for very different reasons than most people are, and in a very different way, doing very different beta testing. I promise you'll see. You will see, right? So it ain't this, it's this. I promise, with pieces to support all of this and using Clubhouse as a lever to do this, you'll see. And then all of the people on Clubhouse who are running rooms and doing things not monetizing, they're going to be the people in like the middle after we've created a movement that are going to come running over. You'll see. So, but here's the first step. Adam.
My first call on Monday morning went out to a marketing director who they transferred me to. And I started with, I have a show for lawyers, licensed professionals, love to learn who in your firm, it's a large firm, growth mindset, heart-centered, and would like to come on. And he said, whoa, wait a minute. What is your pitch? First thing, what is your pitch? I get hundreds of these calls. I said, well, let me take a step back. This is not a pitch. There's a show, allows licensed professionals come on to be able to meet one another. And my first question is, do you have growth mindset attorneys that want to grow their business? And he said, of course, who wouldn't say yes to what you're asking? But I also get hundreds of these calls a day. So please just give me a little bit more. And I said, okay. And I started with, of course, Sean, what you've been anchoring on, Sean Callaghy. He happens to be, an attorney that built a law firm, and, your HUI.
Because by the way, there's no lawyer in any of these law firms that have my story. So you can use it. There's no lawyer in any of these law firms that have that story. None, Adam.
So before I could even tell your story, which of course I was prepared and ready to do, he stopped me and said, whoa, wait a minute. Sean Callaghy? I said, yes, Sean. He's like, okay, so you guys, you have like that Huddle thing? And I said, yes. He might even be on right now. I don't know, but he's like, I've been on your Huddle. Not only have I been on your Huddle, I was at one of Sean's practice mastery. I was at one of his dinners at the Capitol Grill. I was invited by an accountant. His name is, I can't remember, Dan something. Oh, and there's somebody else by the name of Rob in your movement. Rob Gill. Yes, absolutely. Wow. Okay. Well, Adam, just to hear this, we absolutely have lawyers in our firm. Here's the distinction that I want to make. And he basically laid out. There's two things I want to talk about right now. One is finding the attorneys in my firm, because we're building a training. I'm about to build a training platform right now. So I'd really want to talk into that. I'd also want to distinguish between the attorneys in my phone that are growth mindset, that are heart-centered, that want it and are willing to do it, as opposed to the ones that say they want to do it. So I want to go there as well. And then the secondary note is I want to talk about how I could get involved with Unblinded. That was the conversation. He is coming on the Huddle next week. It was, I mean, mind-numbing. It was humbling. And yeah, Sean, you could say it. I told you.
And it's complete common sense. It's complete common sense. And why Clubhouse.
So am I hearing
What kind of sorcery is this?
Sean Callagy works.
Wait, say it again. But you were in a long, elongated. It sounded like there was sorcery happening, so we couldn't hear you. So say it again.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, my connection's not great.
No, you're good now.
Okay. No, I said, so what I'm hearing is listening to Sean Callagy works.
Listening to the formula as given by Sean Callagy works enormously. So watch this. Bella, how many of these marketing directors and law firms have you called or your team called?
0.
Yes. So, and it works. And it works because, right? And watch this. I'll tell you the reason that you're not doing it. You're not doing it, meaning collectively, not you, Bella, right? But you're not doing collectively if you're on Clubhouse, but you're on Clubhouse doing something different. Because on Clubhouse, nobody hangs up on you.
You could call like sales directors.
Yeah. Nobody hangs up on you. And is that really the reason that you're going to live this life instead of this life? Is that really the reason you're going to live this life versus this life? This life gets you pain, exhaustion, frustration, bills, absence of net worth. It doesn't get you the beach house. It doesn't get you the sitting back and knowing that you don't have to work and do another thing in your life and you have everything you need financially. It gets you the ability to say, you know what? I want to quit and go join the Peace Corps, or I want to march for the rights of minorities, women. I want to save people from sex trafficking, or I want to leverage, like it doesn't get you that. It gets you over here, the ability to leverage all those things and put things together for different charities and causes and missions and things, because now you actually have influence.
And Sean,
yeah,
the real magic, right? The real magic of it all was the next phone call, which was an alignment call that was scheduled with an attorney who was also the exact avatar you described, who walked away from a large law firm and is now owning his own firm. And at the end of the call, this was literally the next call, when I was going into my heroic, unique identity, I vertically innovated and I told the story of the previous call. And I anchored on how this marketing director of this large firm saw value in everything that we were doing. Why wouldn't this individual want a strategy session? Of course, he is taking it, but it allowed me to immediately rise my identity as well as Unblinded's from a story, something that happened a half hour prior.
Yeah, amazing. And guys, what we're going to be doing, we're not criticizing Clubhouse. I'm encouraging you to pick up the phone, because what we're about to do is offer different events that we're going to do on Clubhouse, but they're not going to look like what everybody else is doing. Most of you cannot model how people build big bases on Clubhouse. You can't. These people have unique levels of influence already, and they have follower bases that you don't have. So they didn't go online and go into people's rooms, ask a question, pivot and inject something about themselves into the question to pull people to their room. That's not how they built their rooms. They built their rooms differently from that. And the way we're going to structurally, without those resources and abilities, right? We're going to create the ability to not build rooms on Clubhouse, because is that your outcome? It's a byproduct of your influence and your ecosystem merging is what you have on Clubhouse. And the only thing that matters truly is your ability to create the outcomes you want in money, time, and magic. And how many people show up in a room can be quite productive. But there is not a direct correlation between the number of followers you have and the number of people who show up in a room if you go on. How people see you determines that. And working together, we're going to raise that. That's what we're doing as we create our Unblinded network online. But the outcome isn't Clubhouse. The outcome is more money and less time with more magic, leveraging all the multitude of different levers that we have. So that's what will be happening in real time here. And for this weekend, we're going to create another influence challenge. Except this weekend, we're going to do 4, and we're going to bring in people from the outside. So if you are interested in having a conversation about doing that with us for this weekend, right after this call, we're going to go on to Clubhouse and talk about it, right? But it's about ecosystem merging, and you will have real accountability around what you're doing, and we will as well, because it is not show up, moderate, right, and just hang out. That is not what this looks like. This is about what we do practice mastery of we bring people, you bring people, and we're bringing people from the outside into Clubhouse as source. So we'll talk more about that on Clubhouse, but it's the same conversation. Ecosystem merging to speaking engagements, to sales meetings, to sales. And I ain't nobody's fool. And I am clear on how people want to operate on Clubhouse, and they can operate in my space that way, in our space that way. And they shouldn't operate in your space that way. You can do what you know in this formula to use this very effective tool called Clubhouse to create acceleration. I'll talk more about how to do that at 9:00 as we flip over to Clubhouse. Bella Verita, as you hit this day and your amazingness, how are you, Bella?
I am extraordinary. And, just what is present for me as you're sharing all of this is one, like your leadership of leadership that causes leadership, right? And what's present is you talk about seekers, right? And all of these people that are in these like big rooms, like they're seekers. The people that are like that Adam is calling and that we're calling, they're not seeking anything, so they're not clicking on ads, they're not going into funnels because they're already doing shit in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to go find them and bring them with us because they're already doing shit in the world. And I think that this is like it just really landed with me so profoundly why this movement is so different than what everyone else is doing, because all of these influencers, and I'm not knocking it because it's definitely bringing value to people, but it's bringing value to a different group of people. And your movement that you have created here like takes it really, I mean, I know you say this all the time, but it really truly is doing something different than what anyone else is doing. And it absolutely requires picking up the phone because none of these people are seeking anything. They're already doing shit in the world. They're already leading. They're already creating massive results in their life. So they're they're not even aware that that something else exists, or that there is a movement like this, or there is more money, there is more time, there is more magic. Like they're not even aware of that. So we get to go share that gift with them to bring that. And that requires outreach. That requires making phone calls because they're not seeking this because they don't even fucking know it exists.
Yes. And Bella, drop the mic. And that's why Chris Crone says, and we'll play that video again tomorrow, that he has not seen anybody have more influence than I do. I don't know that that's true, but those are Chris's words, because we both went to the Tony world and things operated very differently. You know, I've gone into the space of club baseball and created a disruption in club baseball and had a team win and be put together in ways that people said it couldn't. I want to teach you that. I want to teach you that. And if you, and in what we're doing, the critical dynamic is to follow what we're sharing and execute it. I don't mean follow as a follower, but to literally implement these micro distinctions and these macro distinctions. Because when you're like, it's like, I do feel that there's a substantial portion of amazing people that are here that are just, I even had an amazing conversation with one of the most successful, never been near Clubhouse people in this entire movement. And he doesn't have his speaking platform built yet. And he's doing well and he's thrilled with Unblinded and his results are fantastic. And I'm like, brother, like, come on, like, what's happening? You know, and there was some deletion, dilution, distortion around a piece of it. So what I'm standing for is that every single one of us, including me, we have deletion, dilution, distortion of the maximum execution of the formula. And it's like the time is now. And with everything that we're saying, everything we're doing every day is geared towards that current acceleration. So the takeaway from today is pick up the phone and call your optimal avatars, right? Pick up the phone and make sure you're monetizing, getting referrals from your best clients that are paying you currently. Like, make sure those things are time blocked. They're both very valuable. You need to monetize now. The best way to monetize now is by taking your existing clients and having them buy more things from you that they need and having referrals from those best clients. And the optimization of the ecosystem acceleration is on this side, and doing what we just talked about with Adam and Bella is making these calls, right? And building those things, because this takes some time. But when you own this, you own it forever. When you own this, you own it, or at least for a really long time until it gets screwed up somehow because you don't maintain the relationship. But as long as that relationship is maintained, you possess that value. It's an asset that you have, right? And we've just had, my dear friend Paul Criscola on. We're gonna have him on soon. He was involved in the largest M&A transaction in history in terms of equity value. It was like more than 250 billion with a B dollars in the Verizon merger. And this is what big companies do. They look at value. They don't look at dopamine. They look at value. They look at influence. That's what they measure. And that's what we're we're teaching, sharing, offering you the possibility to measure and to get away from like the status pull of dopamine. Yeah, this person really likes me. It's great that they like you. This person took my phone call. It's great they took your phone call. Have you merged ecosystems? Do you have a plan? Do you have a joint engagement event you're doing? So that's what we're going to be setting up for this weekend. It's what the real raw is. It's where your speaking platform is. Boom. Bella, any final?
My final is the person that you can make the most amount of difference with and cause the most amount of leadership with is on the other end of a phone, not a Facebook ad.
Amen. Fernando, quick final. We're going to bounce the Clubhouse because we're 5 minutes behind.
Quick final, bounce over to Clubhouse. Let's not dilute, and distort. All Sean is the greatest example of the formula that we currently have. And his greatest desire is for everyone on this call to be greater than his example of the formula. Because whether you believe in the formula or not, it's like gravity. It's always present. It's built for us so that we, the movement together, can have all the money, time, and magic we deserve. So we can be examples of possibility for everyone else to have the money, time, and magic we deserve. And that's how we collectively change the world.
Double check your time blocking. Make sure it's all in. Disposable income is rising. The month of January, 1/12 of 2021 is about to draw to a close. Now. Double check your time blocking and make sure you're building your future, your destiny, your legacy, right? It's here, right? Let's go right now by Van Halen and Glad Chaz because the time is right now. Right now, your legacy is at stake. And every day you push it back is more procrastination. You risk not being here and bouncing somewhere else and never getting there because you're just diluted, deleted, distorted, and you were seeking dopamine. Love you guys. Let's go get it right now. See you on Clubhouse if you want to do something this weekend.